Ayo! This is the CHGO White Sox Podcast. On today's episode, we'll be talking about Ethan Katz reportedly returning for his 5th year as White Sox pitching coach. We'll be talking about the reported minor league signing of Cal Mitchell, and we'll wrap it up and talk about Matthew Boyd and Frankie Montas' new ugly contracts next here on the CHGO White Sox Podcast. Welcome into the CHGO White Sox Podcast, coming to you live from Studio A, soon to be Studio Lake. East?
Yeah, Lakefront.
Here in the CHGO offices in the West Loop of Chicago. I'm your host, Sean Anderson, alongside me the full CHGO White Sox crew. That is Vinnie Duber, our CHGO White Sox beat writer. The man in the middle is Herb Lawrence.
Hello.
Our CHGO White Sox community leader. I am Sean Anderson. We appreciate our pal Lawrence Benedetto for producing the show. And you right there. If you want to read Vinnie Duber's articles, head over to allchgo.com. But what's most important is most of our online offerings, online articles are now paywalled, and you need to be a diehard to access them. So we have a great deal for you this Cyber Monday. The 36 for 36 hour deal offer is now live. $3 a month billed annually. This deal will last for only 36 hours. It started earlier today at 8 a.m. It's going to end at 8 p.m. It includes all diehard perks.
8 p.m. tomorrow.
Yeah, that's 36 hours. Yeah.
Whatever I said was wrong. Whatever they said was right.
No, you were right. We're just confirming 8 to 8.
Yeah, so 8 a.m. today, 8 p.m. tomorrow. So there was about 36 hours. We'd probably be able to say there's about 28 hours right now.
Not about, like right on.
Oh,
28.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. If you do want to become a diehard, head over to allchgo.com/diehard, and you get all diehard perks, including access to exclusive content like Vinny's written content up at allchgo.com. You get access to our Discord channel where you get to chat with White Sox fans alike, Blackhawks, Bulls, Cubs. There's so many communities in there, and more like discounts to events and merch. So head over to our Black Friday / Cyber Monday sale over at allchgo.com. You could also check out the merch sale over at store.allcitynetwork.com. Maybe you should sign up, become a diehard first if you want any merch, because then you get the extra boost. So there you go.
So many numbers flying around.
I'm confused. So
savings, though, they're all savings.
You're saving. That's the bottom line. On today's show, we're going to be talking about Ethan Katz. We'll be talking about Cal Mitchell. And we'll be talking about some recent signings in the Major League world. Daryl Van Schouwen of the Chicago Sun-Times reported yesterday that it seems very likely that last year's assistant staff to Grady Sizemore in the interim will be likely returning to assist Will Venable, the major change being Walter McKinven being the bench coach. What do we make of this? And mainly, as the headline asks, should Ethan Katz be returning? This is now the third manager he will be pitching coach under.
Well, we'll get to that, I'm sure, as we go here on today's edition of this show. But to just talk about the news, it's kind of something that we've seen coming a little bit, I think. Obviously, this has only been the coaching staff is yet to be announced for Will Venable's first year as a major league manager, but we've gotten a little bit here, a little bit there, right? He said on Foul Territory that McKinven would be coming in. He said to us at the press conference that Grady Sizemore would be back in some unspecified role, and obviously the way that they've been talking about Marcus Thames, whether it's been Chris Getz, Will Venable, or Ryan Fuller, the new hitting director. Boy, we sure figured out that Marcus Thames will be back as the hitting coach. But I think all you had to do was really look at who went out the door when Pedro Grifol was fired back in August. Because those three guys, Charlie Montoyo, the bench coach, Mike Tozar, who was the assistant hitting coach at the time but had a different job the previous year, and third base coach Eddie Rodriguez, certainly those last two were Pedro guys, but all three of them were holdovers from before Chris Getz took over as GM. Once Chris Getz was promoted as GM, there was a host of coaching changes. This was last November, so just over a year ago. At the GM meetings, we got the announcement of the new coaching staff, and it was almost completely new, with the exception of those three guys under Pedro Grifol. You had Thames come aboard as the hitting coach. You had Jason Bourgeois over at first base. You had Matt Wise as the assistant pitching coach / bullpen coach. And then you had Drew Butera, who was the catching coach, plus Grady Sizemore, who was just going to be the major league coach, very poorly defined role there. But all those guys were installed under Chris Getz's watch. And so a year on the job, it speaks to me that now that we're hearing that all of those guys are going to be back, including Ethan Katz, who was also a holdover, as I should clean up. But it speaks to me that Chris Getz picked those guys. And those are the guys that Chris Getz trusts in to take this major league team, at least in the short term, to where in the direction that he wants it to go. So yes, even though there's a new manager and with that sometimes comes big turnover, I think you saw the big turnover a year ago. And now Will Venable, because also hired by Chris Getz, meshes with all those guys well. There are those news jobs that will be filled by either McKinven. We don't know who the assistant hitting coach is going to be, but Daryl reported that Justin Jerschley, who came up to from the who was the AAA manager, came up to be the third base coach after Pedro Grifol was fired, is going to stay on as the third base coach. It's a lot of continuity from a team that lost 121 games, and I know that on the surface that strikes as a bad idea, but Chris Getz put these people in there, and I think they are the ones that he trusts to take his vision going forward in conjunction with Will Venable, not Will Venable necessarily being saddled with these guys. I think they're all being hired to be part of the same team and the same plan.
As a rule, I do not like when you bring in a new manager and or general manager, and that person has to inherit people onto his staff. Now, Vinny laid out the whole scenario perfectly, and so this is more a Chris Getz staff with Will Venable probably signing off on it. Fine. But it takes me back to old school football. I know football and baseball are totally different sports, but when Lovie Smith was in his last year with the Bears, they hired a new general manager in Phil Emery. I'm always a proponent of, yeah, I like Lovie Smith, but if Phil Emery came in that first year and said, no, that's not my coach, I need a clean slate, you're dismissed, Lovie, which he eventually did the year after that, I would have been mad as a fan, but also I've been understanding. It's like, hey, man, he's judged by his subordinates, the people who are below him on his staff, so he needs to have the people that he trusts underneath him. Same thing I feel with Will Venable. He's a first-year manager, and so he doesn't know the lay of the land necessarily and probably has no qualms about who's underneath him. And if he trusts Chris Getz's vision to take the job, he probably trusts Chris Getz's judgment on the people that are on his staff. So if Will Venable's fine with it, I'm fine with it. But as a rule, I just don't like when people are inherited on a team, especially a new manager trying to start his job and trying to get off on the right foot, because those people are already established in those roles and you're the new boss of them. And so I don't know if that person who's getting that new job feels like they have the authority and autonomy to tell these people what to do in his job. So if Will Venable's cool with it, I'm cool with it, but that's just my feeling about this whole situation.
Yeah, I think the one thing that sticks out to me, at least when we were looking at the top two candidates for this managerial job, it was Skip Schumacher and Will Venable. And there was that podcast that I listened to of Skip Schumacher where he talked about it for an hour, how detailed his process was about, his coaching staff and how it went all the way down to the minor leagues about how he wanted these guys to get paid because he knew that college was a little bit more enticing because they could pay a little bit more. It seems like Will Venable doesn't have this same thought-out process. I don't even think he wanted to be a manager last year, so this seems like an opportunity that maybe he is finally seeing himself in. I'm fine with inheriting coaches because I think that this is a position that Will Venable is hired to grow into. We don't have true expectations for the first 2 years of Will Venable's coaching. I think we'll see how or who he wants to involve into this staff as he grows. I don't think he cares about what the coaching staff really looks like in the first year because he's just trying to get his feet wet and get some games managed. Hey, let me manage my first 162 before I want to see how everything gets changed. It's not super pressing because, again, we know what's most important on this team. It's the players, and the players are not going to have that much talent. I think Chris Getz wants to see how him changing this underbelly is going to affect these coaches if they get the right data streamlined and communicated to them, how can these coaches grow? So I'm not against keeping all of these people. There's a little weird taste of it, but I mean, I don't know. It seems like Will Venable is different than Skip Schumacher. I'm fine with that, and it does seem like Will just isn't as, I don't know, hyper, maybe not even hyper, but just like, it seems like he's going with the flow.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And like I said, I think that Will, there's a reason why he came here, and it seems like the reason is he believes in what Chris Getz is doing. And so with that belief, he's like, I have to believe that he wouldn't put me in a bad spot with the people he has under me. Yeah, those people are retained from a 121-loss team, but I came to a 121-loss team because of that general manager's words and what he told me. And so it would be kind of foolhardy to believe in his message and not believe in the people that he chose, especially last year. And it's probably very cost prohibitive to fire all those people and then bring in all new people too.
Right. And I'm not going to start complaining about Justin Jersley or Jason Bourgeois. I think those probably could have been the easiest place to maybe fire somebody and install somebody. Jersley just being a former AAA manager. Bourgeois, I don't think, has any connection to Venable, but again, keeping them on, I'm not going to have like I don't know. It's the holiday season. I'm not going to get upset over Justin Jersley or Jason Bourgeois. I think it's interesting, though, that even the lower parts, like Mike Gellinger and Doug Sisson, they're still on the staff.
Well, those are org guys. They're not on the staff. Daryl reported that they'll be reassigned elsewhere.
Oh, expected
in the
range.
Yeah.
So that's me not being able to read. So there we go. I guess the only other part that we really don't know is assistant hitting coach.
Right.
So that's going to be an interesting person to see who they figure out. Maybe that is Will Venable's choice. Maybe that's Ryan Fuller's choice. That's not super clear. I think the Braves fired their hitting coach from last year, and I believe his son's in the White Sox organization.
Seitzer, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe Seitzer is a connection, and maybe we see him be an assistant hitting coach if he's interested. But that's really like the last pieces here. The question was Ethan Katz and Drake saying, I doubt Katz would have been retained if Bannister didn't like what he brings to the team. I think that's what it boils down to. It's not Tony La Russa. It's not Pedro Gaffal. It's not a Will Venable thing. It's a Brian Bannister thing that's keeping Ethan Katz here.
Well, certainly he gets the stamp of approval. I think, I think Major League Baseball in general leads fans to be frustrated with pitching and hitting coaches specifically, right? And then on the rarer occasions, third base coaches, exactly, right? But, no one's ever necessarily clamoring for the replacement of a catching coach or the replacement of a bullpen coach kind of thing. But hitting coaches and pitching coaches are often scapegoated, and so they are the ones that get a little bit more focus. And listen, Ethan Katz has had pitchers come along who have not lived up to expectations. But he's also had a lot of pitchers come along who very much have lived up to and or surpassed expectations. And so I think the White Sox as an organization probably just pretty happy with the job that he's done. I mean, we look at the pitching side of things right now as the strong point in the organization, not just because of the depth in the minor leagues with a guy like Schultz or Smith, who are their top-rated prospects, but what happened on the Major League team last year. I think a lot of White Sox fans, while certainly not happy at the results, are going into 2025 saying, all right, that pitching rotation could be something, right? It's full of young guys who have a little bit of promise, and then there's a lot behind them too. I do think that the White Sox are just really happy with what Katz has done. But, Drake, I think you're absolutely right. Brian Bannister came in here to be at the top of the ladder on pitching. He's going to have say, if not ultimate say, on who the pitching coach is. And their past connection working in San Francisco, it just makes total sense that these guys would be in harmony with each other and that Katz would get that stamp of approval from Bannister, who really is running the show from a pitching standpoint. I mean, we've seen all the impact that he's made in terms of the players that have been brought in here at all sorts of levels. Of course, he would have a say on the staff as well. That only just makes perfect sense.
We got to go to a break, so I want to stretch my legs on this Ethan Katz thing, so I don't want to take too much time. But, yeah, there's some things I disagree with Ethan Katz coming back for his fifth year as a pitching coach, but I'll tell you after the break.
Damn, host Herb setting all this up.
Sean's getting supplanted.
Yeah, I know, right? I got to watch out. I'm starting to sweat here. Edward saying, man, the Sox are going to suck for the next few years. There will be no miracle turnaround, and that's basically how I feel. It's tough to really get excited about the 2025 White Sox because there isn't really anything interesting about the team so far. And the most interesting thing is Garrett Crochet, who will be
not on the team.
Exactly. So there you go. We're going to take a break. As host Herb said, we're going to let you know about some of our great sponsors here on the CHGO White Sox Podcast. We want to let you know about our friends over at Public Rec. Look at these pants.
Ooh la la.
Come on. Yeah. No, come on. I want more about my pants.
Pants.
Right.
Fancy.
Whether you need clothes for the work week or formal outing on the weekend, Public Rec's Game Changer pants will be your new go-to. Look at my Public Rec pants. I even but look at this. They have zippers. I'm walking around the city. I got my phone in my pocket, and I'm like, oh, I don't want this to fall out. You know what I do?
Zip it up.
I zip it up. Boom. There you go. They fit me perfectly and are extremely comfortable, and I'm wearing them at work. I think that's the most important thing. Vinny's wearing jeans. Herb's wearing
Pants.
kind of jeans.
Weird pants.
You know, I'm wearing pants, and these are Game Changer pants because they're comfy. They come in waist and length sizing for the perfect fit. I'm wearing a 34 by 30 right now, and they are a local company. Public Rec was founded right here in Chicago. Public Rec truly captures the feeling of evenings in the city. They also have a huge selection of high-quality, everyday basics. You can revamp your entire wardrobe with their perfect-fitting polos, shorts, and hoodies. So stop suffering in regular pants and give the gift of comfort this holiday season. For a limited time only, our listeners get 20% off when you use code CHGO at checkout. That's 20% off with code CHGO at publicrec.com. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please show us a support and tell them we sent you. Give yourself and someone you love the gift of comfort this holiday over at publicrec.com. Use code CHGO for 20% off.
Hey, Vinny.
Hey, Herb.
Did you know that ComEd can help businesses save money by becoming even more energy efficient?
I ate too much turkey this weekend and totally forgot that they did that over there at ComEd.
Yep. The Energy Efficiency Program can help to find up to 35% in energy savings.
Wow. That's so many percents. So what does a business have to do to get them?
Just sign up for a free facility assessment at comed.com/biz.
That sounds so easy. Why aren't more businesses doing it?
Maybe they forgot the website.
They need to hear it over and over again. ComEd.com/biz, ComEd.com/biz, ComEd.com/biz.
That should do it, Vinny. Terms and conditions apply. Offers are subject to change. Actual savings will vary by customer's energy usage and rate. The ComEd Energy Efficiency Program is funded in compliance with state law.
Thank you, guys. We're back here on the CHGO White Sox podcast. We're going to be talking about Cal Mitchell. Shout out to Arnhem Leighton for getting the report on the former Pirate and Padre signing a minor league deal with an invite to spring training. Also, I believe there's a major league option there. We'll get more into it in a second. But Herb, T's thoughts on Ethan Katz. I think, we've heard a ton about communication, even on Ryan Fuller, him being a former English teacher. Ethan Katz used to work with high schoolers. We know this because of Lucas Giolito, Max Fried, Jack Flaherty, yada, yada, yada. You've been hearing this for 5 years. It seems like Ethan Katz is a good communicator. You hate him, though.
Well put. He started here, of course, with Lucas Giolito working with him in the offseason while Don Cooper was still the manager or the pitching coach of the White Sox. Longtime guy and another guy that went from manager to manager to manager to manager and just stayed in the same position. He did well his freshman year, his rookie year, 2021, where Lucas did well and the rest of the staff did well. Like his team ERA was 3.73. It was fifth in the league. And if you go by FWAR, they were the best pitching staff in baseball at that time. And subsequently, they've gone from 16th in ERA to 26th in ERA to last year, they were 28th in ERA. And from FWAR, they went from 11th to 26th to 26th last year. So, yes, he hasn't had the same type of talent as he had when he first started the job, when they won the division title in 21. But when they were trying to win in 23, the pitching staff was a major bugaboo going to win that division because they struggled so mightily, and then they had to trade away most of those players. Now, I know that there's been successes last year. You can look at pitchers that came up to the White Sox and say, oh, that looked good. And I would put that mostly on the Brian Bannister effect. You can see pitchers who have come out of that and say, okay, I see what's going on. I see how he has introduced Davis Martin to the kick change and et cetera down the line. And I know Ethan's part of that whole thing, but if we're going by results, the man has regressed in his job. And so to be automatically grandfathered into coming back, to me, seems weird because I don't think his job has shown that he is an actually good pitching coach. Is that fair?
No, I disagree with you fairly vehemently.
Okay.
First of all, just citing ERA, I think, is wrong because the White Sox can't play defense. So ERA factors in the White Sox, I want to say a swear word, defense. Maybe, you take your dog on a walk and you put it in a little bag. Maybe that's how I describe
It's crummy.
It's crummy. Yeah, there you go. I think it's tough to blame him on that. And then again, since 2021, the White Sox are 10th in FWAR. In starting pitchers, they are 12th in FWAR, and relief pitching 16th in FWAR. And again, you brought up all the things that went against him. Players being traded in 23, players being traded in 22. You have one great year in the AL Central Division winning, and then you have a horrible record-setting 121 losses. The middle years, I don't think there was anything really deciding that, Ethan Katz was the problem. I think that he can communicate well. I think that he can take the information from Brian Bannister and communicate it well. I think the biggest issue maybe is bullpen usage, bullpen management, but that also could be put on Pedro Grifol. I don't really know what Ethan Katz does wrong.
Well, I would point to this. Obviously, Sean's giving you some more broader scope things, but again, it does come down to the pitchers that he has to work with, right? I don't think any major league pitching coach is going to be expected to take any random assortment of arms and turn them into the best one in the league, but you can definitively point to Ethan Katz and say he turned Lucas Giolito into Lucas Giolito. He turned Carlos Rodon into Carlos Rodon, and he turned Dylan Cease into Dylan Cease. Those were three guys who were obviously very talented, all three of them very high draft picks and very well-regarded prospects. But when they came up, they had either a middling start or a middling several years. In the case of Carlos Rodon, obviously injuries played a factor, but you put Katz's techniques into those three guys, and they become three all-star pitchers, right? And so I think that those are success stories. Certainly there are guys who didn't live up to the expectations, and I think, one of the ones that I saw somebody on social media complain about the most was Kopech, right? And Michael Kopech leaves the White Sox and immediately becomes a tremendous bullpen arm for the Dodgers. But at the same time, what was it that Michael Kopech said when he threw that immaculate inning and got that save? Oh, yeah, I finally listened to what the coaches have been telling me to do. So, I think that it is a harder job than just put pitcher in front of pitching coach and turn him into very productive Major League Baseball pitcher. Obviously, you see hitting coaches, more so than pitching coaches, get scapegoated when their guys don't produce, but pitching coaches do sometimes suffer the same fate. I just look at this as the White Sox being happy with what's going on behind the scenes in terms of what their pitching coach is doing to work with the pitchers that they think have promised to turn into those productive type pitchers.
And I hear you guys, and you're talking about the wins, but I'm going to talk about the L's. If we can talk about the high level 2021 and the Lucas Giolito turning from also ran from the worst pitcher in baseball to 21 and what he did there, or 19 more likely. Then I would say that we got to talk about the losses, how much that team and how much the pitching staff has regressed and how badly they've come. Yes, you get in bad clay, you can't make a mug as good as you get in good clay. He needs to only work with the stuff that he is given. But I think he did great with those, reclamation projects of Lucas Giolito and Carlos Rodon. And not even Dylan Cease wasn't a reclamation project. He was pretty much good and on his way up. But he did good with those people. But the people who have failed him, you named one, when Michael Kopech. And yes, he did finally listen to the people. But you could see the difference between Michael Kopech, the White Sox, and Michael Kopech, the Dodger. He was totally different. And so...
Yeah, but that's also the team. You're playing for the Dodgers, who are winning the World Series and a 121-loss team. Michael has talked about just being a part of a Dodger team compared to the White Sox team. It's not even Mark Pryor was saying, throw your fastball more. No, he said they were telling me the same exact stuff. It's just a better situation. I feel more comfortable.
But how long did he have Michael Kopech, and did you see progression the whole time from 21 till he got traded? You didn't see progression.
I don't know. I wasn't against Michael Kopech being a starting pitcher in spring training, and they made that decision to make him a reliever. I don't know. I think that it's fair that you could say that Michael Kopech will never be a starter again, and that they made the right choice to make him a reliever in 2024. I was here clamoring that he should have been a starter in 2024, and they just said no.
And then you got other failures on the team, where last year they traded Lucas Giolito. Also, they traded Ronaldo Lopez. We thought, Ronaldo Lopez is trash. He went to the Braves this year, and he wasn't trash. I think he had one of the lowest ERAs, if not the lowest ERA in the league. So there's some failures there for Ethan Katz where he didn't get through to certain pitchers. Yes, he got through to some, but I don't think his whole track record of 4 years is worthy enough for him to be put on another staff. That's my thoughts on him. So I would say that he's coming back, so I got to live with him, but I don't think his body of work is like, yes. Like Don Cooper, you could say, was here way too long, but he won a World Series, so they're never going to fire him until they found Ethan Katz. If Lucas Giolito didn't go out there and do what he had to do and work with him, we would have not known of Ethan Katz ever.
I also don't know if Raylo is his choice or not. I think they try to make him a starter, and that's above his pay grade of, a Raylo being a starter. It wasn't happening in 2021, and we looked how good he was in 2022 and 2023 as a reliever. 3.1 WAR from 2022 to 2023, 0.7, 1.5, 0.9 as a reliever for the Sox. Obviously, 5.1 WAR is very nice with Atlanta, but it's not Ethan's decision to give out 3-year, $30 million contracts. I don't know. I don't think that there's anything that says this guy can't work with talent. I mean, you could even throw out Jonathan Cannon. Cannon was great for the entirety of the year as a rookie. Martin as well. You could throw out Nastrini if you want to throw out some negatives. Nastrini talked about how he started changing things because of someone on Twitter and his mound placement and foot changes. He was doing too many taps. I think overall Katz has been fine. What would you judge him though on coming into 2025? What is a mark of Ethan Katz succeeding?
Progression from most of the pitchers. They're not going to have Garrett Crochet holding up most of the staff. So you need to have just progression from all these young pitchers, not where you're like, oh, I got to send this guy back down to the minors because he's got to learn X, Y, Z. These pitchers, probably 5, 6, 7, 8 of those pitchers will probably be in the rotation throughout the year. I just need to see from day 1 to day 162, okay, he was rough when he started, but now he's middling. He's average. I don't need them to be great, all of them, but I need them to show they've learned something from when they broke camp in Arizona to when they finished the season in 162. It's okay, that was a well-oiled machine. Him and Brian Bannister are doing the right things for this team to move forward. And maybe these pitchers are probably not going to be here when it's really good, but Ethan Katz, it seems like, is a lifer for the White Sox. So he needs to show that he's ready for this job for life because these people are going to be changing over throughout his career. And he needs to show that his teaching methods and what Brian Bannister are teaching can stick with people, not just the player's good, and that player will just progress no matter what, no matter who's telling them. You've taken a pitcher from average to a little above average. I'm good for it.
I think you definitely got to see progression from one or two of those guys, right? I mean, you need to be able to point to one of them and say, wow, that guy is a part of the future kind of thing. I think someone like Drew Thorpe is probably going to be very important, right, in terms of what they're able to do with him because he came over in the Cease trade. But if it is a Cannon, if it is a Davis Martin, that's a win also for Ethan Katz and the White Sox. But again, we got to remember, think back to the last rebuild, right? We had a list. We had a list of 40, 50 prospects that we were all, that we all had clicking around in our heads. And how many of them pan out? You know what I mean? And that's not even talking about something that went wrong. That's just how minor league baseball and baseball and player development works. So we can't necessarily say, look at all these starting pitchers in the White Sox organization. They got 10 guys that could be major league pitchers. How many of them are going to be major league pitchers for the White Sox? They need to start figuring that out, and to come up with one or two in this year of this rebuild where things are not supposed to go right, that would be a huge win. Because here's the thing, Herb, you bring up numbers of a team-wide number, an ERA or a FIP or a WAR or whatever. If the White Sox are supposed to be bad next year,
they are,
or if they're expected to be bad next year, I should say. If the pitching staff is so great that they're putting in good numbers, they're not going to be bad, or they're not going to be as bad as you think, right? So if the expectation is they're not going to be good, you do need to look for those individual success stories, those individual gains, so you can say that is part of the future. Because if the team ERA is the marker you're going by and you expect it to be good because Ethan Katz has done a good job, well, then the team's going to be good. But that is not what anybody expects to happen. So it is based on those smaller gains, those more incremental gains.
And I don't need it to be top of the league, just middling, 20th, 15th, where the whole staff is listening to what he's talking about, and they're growing. Yes, if you get wins like Davis Martin was this year, I'm in. If you get Jairo Iriarte to start throwing strikes and he's actually in the major leagues, that's a win. But, you still have the Nestrinis of the world that had to go back down to the minors. Now, I'll give him credit for Cannon. He didn't look like a major league pitcher when he first came up. Went back down to the minors, got back up here, and looked like a stud. Maybe a 1 or 2 coming
up. I'd give credit just to these players themselves, though. I mean, like Cannon, Martin, Burke, Thorpe. That's going to be probably 4 of your starting 5. All of those guys are homegrown outside of Thorpe. You look at the bullpen, they just took a waiver on Anderson, who hasn't pitched since 2019. He's going to be back in there. Wilson, I guess they liked during the Cease trade. But Baroa, Varlin, Leisure, Schuster, Ellard, all those guys looked all right. And those were all coached by Ethan Katz. I don't know. We'll see how it unfolds, and we'll have a whole 162 games to see from Ethan Katz to see what happens. I guess we'll get the official announcement coming up soon. But assistant hitting coach, I think, is what we're looking out next for. We got to take a break here on the CHGO.
And Grady's title.
That's true. Do we picture major league coach?
Who knows? Maybe they give him a fancy title like we were talking about all during the manager search.
The major league coach. All right, we're going to take a break here on the CHGO White Sox Podcast.
We are sponsored by Chicago Sports Network, the new home of the Blackhawks, Bulls, and White Sox games. CHSN will broadcast more than 300 live games per year across the Blackhawks, Bulls, and White Sox, and will feature a full lineup of original, Chicago-focused sports content. They're also Chicago-based, Chicago-built, and Chicago to the core. And they're bringing it to every corner of Chicago across our 77 neighborhoods and beyond. At CHSN, Chicago comes first. Visit CHSN.com for more information on how to watch the Bulls, Hawks, and Sox games all season long.
It is so cold outside. Ugh. I hate winter. I hate the cold. But I can go back, excuse me, I can go back to the summertime state of mind by grabbing a Leinenkugel Summer Shandy. They've made it a year-round selection now. So even when it's 26 darn degrees outside, I can grab myself a Summer Shandy and I'm ready to hit the grill. Might take a little longer, but I'm ready to hit the grill. I'm ready to go down to the lake for a picnic. Might be able to ice skate around a little bit too, but hey, I'm ready to go. The summertime state of mind is always there with Summer Shandy. But hey, maybe you're somebody who doesn't mind the cold, and maybe you want a beer that goes with that. Plenty of variety in the Leinenkugel's family of delicious beers here. You got your Berry Weiss, your Honey Weiss. You can have a Lakeside Cherry or a Sunset Wheat. Hey, go on up to Wisconsin. Have yourself a Leine's Original. They're all so good. Folks, flavor every moment with Leinenkugels, the official craft beer of the Chicago White Sox. Go to Leine.com/CHGO to find delivery options near you. That's LEINIE.com/CHGO. Or pick up Leinenkugels pretty much anywhere they sell beer. Leinenkugels, flavor the moment, celebrate responsibly. The Jacob Leinenkugel Brewing Company, Chippewa Falls.
Yes! All right, let's get into our next topic. If there are any more thoughts for Ethan Katz, we will share them in another day. We're here live 4 p.m. Monday through Friday, each and every day here on the CHGO White Sox or CHGO Sports YouTube channel. Make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button and subscribing to the CHGO Sports channel.
We've got just to we've got the Cyber Monday sale going on, and Herb earlier mentioned bad clay for the mugs. Did you know that we have a mug in our store?
I did not know that.
Look at that.
We have glasses too. I think there's a glass.
We have glassware.
Maybe it's behind us.
It's over there. But yeah, so you could go buy yourself a mug on our set.
Amazing. Over at store.allcitynetwork.com. Again, we also have our Cyber Monday sale going on. $36 for 36 hours. You could become a diehard for just $3 a month. Is that annually? No.
It is billed annually.
Annually. There you go. Thank you very much. Look, a glass. Now you're going to have to go to the one shot of me to show off this glass. Now you're going to have to turn the camera. Now you have to switch the camera. This is brutal. And just to show off this glass. Look how nice this glass is. Look how nice this glass is.
It looks clean.
Well, it's not actually. It's got a ton of fingerprints all over it. So it's actually pretty dirty.
But the one you'll get if you order it will be clean.
I would drink out of it if it was clean, but right now I wouldn't drink out of it.
Sure.
What are we talking about? All right, let's head over to Aram Layton. Aram Layton of Just Baseball tweeted out on the 1st, outfielder Cal Mitchell and the Chicago White Sox have agreed to a minor league deal. Sources tell Just Baseball Media it also includes an invite to big league camp. Mitchell is 25, has a career .627 OPS in 71 MLB games, but hit .277, .359, and .512 with 22 homers in the PCL last year. He was a second-round draft pick of the Pirates back in, what year was that? 2019, 2017. Second round draft pick of the Pirates in 2017. Drafted out of high school, was a prep kid, then was DFA'd by the Pirates in 2023. Signed with the Padres in a similar situation, invite to big league camp, but never made it to the major leagues with San Diego. Free agent now. The White Sox, reportedly, according to Aram, picking up Cal Mitchell. Thoughts on him? He's a lefty-lefty, so he's going to be able to be a lefty bat. Maybe, a Cal Mitchell and Austin Slater platoon.
We'll see what happens. Obviously, the White Sox are in a position where they can take flyers on these guys and maybe give them some playing time down the road. We'll see. We'll have to see what happens with each individual guy. If this was a team that wasn't in the White Sox position, I would say, Sean, why are we talking about this? Why are we talking about invites to big league spring training in the early December? But the White Sox, as they showed you last year, could end up using all these guys they bring in on minor league deals, right? Heck, they signed a guy who played the majority of their season in right field to a minor league deal even after the season started in Tommy Pham. So it is an opportunity for a guy like Mitchell, and we'll have to see how it plays out. We know that Dominic Fletcher should be someone that the White Sox are interested in giving as much shot to as they can because he was a trade acquisition of Chris Getz. He obviously does very well defensively, and if you can pair some offense of any kind with that, that's a valuable thing. And they go out and get Austin Slater and sign him to a major league deal. So he's obviously going to be part of the mix in the outfield. But Mitchell could find some playing time there, just like plenty of guys did last year. There's still Corey Julks kicking around this roster. There's all sorts of options out there in the outfield. It seems like Zach DeLoach and those kinds of guys. So he'll get a shot at spring training, and if he can impress, even if not there, anywhere along the way in AAA, maybe he gets called up when there's an injury or anything like that. But I don't see Benintendi or Robert really budging from their spots, so right field would have to kind of be the place unless you're talking about being a reserve bench player.
I have no problem with them signing to a minor league deal, Cal Mitchell. But if you're looking at his last year's stats and like, hey, man, this guy, look at how well he did down there in El Paso. He's crushing the ball.
Down in the West Texas town of El Paso?
Exactly. And so, in the Pacific Coast League, which El Paso's in, you got Tacoma, Oklahoma City, those numbers are inflated. You got people who are above him in slugging. Like, I'll go over some names. Eggy Rosario, who was also his teammate at El Paso. Sam Hilliard, you've heard of him, right? Before. This guy, he's more of a stolen base threat. He was a former Colorado Rocky.
I do know, but I don't think the people at home know Sam Hilliard.
Yeah, these are the points. Like, he had a higher slugging percentage than what our guy Cal Mitchell had. Jake Marisnick, former White Sox great, had a higher slugging percentage than what our guy Cal Mitchell had. It was in the 500s. Like, we saw Jake Marisnick. Did he look like a power hitter?
Briefly. We barely saw him.
Yeah, and then he went to Detroit and was kind of good. Pavin Smith, the former Arizona Diamondback. Like, these are the type of players that are out there crushing the PCL. Former Dodger, James Outman, out there crushing the PCL. When they get to that major leagues, it's a different thing because the atmosphere is not the same as the PCL. So I would just caution people doing the transition of, this 25-year-old did this in the minor leagues. That can translate easily into that in the major leagues. Slow your roll, because that PCL is a tricky sister out there to look at and say, okay, that is how he will do in the major leagues, because those atmospheres are very, very high altitude and good ball movement for the offensive players. As we learned from Miguel Vargas. But still, even with Vargas and Mitchell hasn't had a ton of run when it comes to the major leagues. And I think it's still an interesting piece. A player that is drafted out of high school, played up to advanced day in 2019, then obviously didn't play in 2020 because of COVID. So all of these players are typically interesting for me. And it's not like he struggled at AAA, even outside of the PCL. Yep. Even in the International League, he's been great. 4 seasons in the AAA, 287, 358, 487, 230 strikeouts to 101 walks. So interesting numbers there. And mainly, again, at a major league level, he's only seen 216 at-bats. It's not even a full season. With the Pirates, right?
With the Pirates. And weirdly enough, when you look at his platoon splits, he's better against lefties. 245, 255, 434 slugging percentage against lefties, 215, 293, 313 slugging against righties. I think it's an interesting signing. And again, I'm more for interesting signings rather than signing other washed Pirate Michael A. Taylor, right? Like, let's go with the 25-year-old that might have potential. Give him a ton of run. Like, that's a lot more interesting than, a retread veteran.
You heard what you said, though, right?
I'm about to say,
No, I didn't.
You said 4 years in AAA.
that's a lot.
I mean, yeah,
I'm just saying. This is a flyer.
Okay,
this is a flyer.
Yeah, I'm not. What am I saying? That he's going to be the next MVP?
You said give him tons of run. Are they going to give him tons of run?
We'll
find out.
I feel like they should at least give him run. If they're interested in giving Dominic Fletcher run, he's 5 inches taller.
This White Sox, you're not wrong. This White Sox team is just killing time.
Also,
killing time until the minor leaguers develop. This is the kind of signing you make when you're trying to fill out a roster. Jeff Passan wrote last week, 2 weeks ago, he described the White Sox as a facsimile of a minor league team playing in a major league ballpark in 2025. Like, that's what their roster is going to be. That's harsh, but it's not wrong.
And it's funny, too, because there's actually 2 major league teams that will be playing in
minor league ballparks.
Yeah,
exactly.
So there you go.
And
just
also,
to be fair, too, the 4 years is a little overstated. He got 7 games in 2021. So, like, it's mostly 3, 7 games. Like, let's chill
parts
out
of
here.
4 years. And also, what if Michael A. Taylor's watching? You're out here crapping on him. What the hell? You used to be the biggest Michael A. Taylor in the world.
It's time for my celebrity boxing era. I'm going to take down Michael A. Taylor. All right. The one thing that I did want to talk about, at least looking at minor league StatCast data with Cal Mitchell, the main thing that intrigued me is he doesn't strike out a ton and he was able to walk, at least in 2024. Maybe it is the atmosphere, but 20% K rate, 11% walk rate. I guess this is what we're looking for, right? People who make good swing decisions, and can we improve on those swing decisions? Can he be somebody that just doesn't strike out a ton, is able to walk and put the ball in play? You did see his ISO improve pretty immensely, and again, that could be to the atmosphere. 147 ISO in 2023. It was 235 in 2024. No major changes in the batted ball difference. He actually hit the ball less hard in 2024, 90.6 miles per hour in 2023, 89.6 in 2024, but a better launch angle, 13 degrees compared to 11. And I think that was the biggest thing that I saw in the major league data, is it does seem like he doesn't ground out a ton like an Eloy Jimenez. Like, it's not that type of horrible swing that you need to change, right? But there does need to be a little bit more lift. So I wonder if you're able to have a player with good swing decisions, you're able to adjust the swing a little bit, and you're able to add a better launch or attack angle for his bat, and he's able to get just a little bit under the ball. I do think that it could be an interesting project for Ryan Fuller to work on. Hey, if he gives you 2 WAR, I ain't complaining. If he's giving you even 50 games of like negative 0.5 WAR, it will be interesting. I'll take anything.
If he gives you 2 WAR, you make Ryan Fuller a full-time employee. Like,
he is.
Okay, but hold on. It's not like Cal
forever.
Mitchell. It's not like Cal Mitchell.
Forever.
Cal Mitchell is like
give him all the money in the world.
A former second rounder,
Okay.
a guy that thought he was going to sign with the Padres in case they needed an outfielder. David Peralta hits like it's 2014.
Yes.
So, he doesn't get that opportunity. Like, it could have been possible that he got an opportunity at the Padres last year, and he could have been an interesting enough piece that they kept. They didn't keep him around. He didn't get that chance at the major league level. He sees a more likely way that he gets playing time at the major league level with the White Sox than the Padres. I think it's an interesting signing. We'll see what happens. I'm more interested in him in 2025 than Fletcher.
I hope
even Deloach, your guy.
Just like the Padres, they have corner outfielders that are just like, all right, I have a chance to steal one of these positions, and those corner outfielders outperform those numbers, like Jerickson Profar and David. Forgot his name now. Peralta does it immediately. If we get Dom Fletcher and Andrew Benintendi to act like those 2 players, baby, we got something that we can work with there. But I don't think we got that because I don't know why you would sign with the Padres knowing that Fernando Tatis is coming back for right field anyways.
I like Herb thinking that Ryan Fuller is a part-time employee of the White Sox. Like, yes, we'll make you hitting director, but you're going to need to go back to that English teaching job that's at the same time.
Full-time, like forever. You're a White Sox. We'll give you all the money. If you get the guy who was pretty much a career minor leaguer to major league starter average, baby. And he's 26 next year.
It's like a fairly small sample size. He's going to be 26 and come March. So once they're at spring training, he'll be 26. But again, it's 71 games. It's 71 games with a Padres organization that's not like the best in baseball. It's not like we're looking at the Pirates and they're turning out major leaguer year after year. I mean, they're the team that traded Garrett Cole because they couldn't figure out, that he should throw a fastball up in the zone, right? Like, I don't think that this is impossible where there's a way that Cal Mitchell isn't a bum. Like, this is a guy that seemingly has a ton of potential, and it just hasn't been cracked yet. Is it possible that they crack it? Yes. Is it likely? No. But, I mean, he's got an invite to big league camp. It's not like we're talking about an Austin Slater here. I mean, this isn't even their top target. They had to sign Austin Slater to sign Cal Mitchell. No jokes? All right. That was just I'm just kidding around.
I liked it. Yeah.
Thank you, Lawrence.
Top target. I got that.
Right? Whatever. All right. We're going to move on to our next topic here. Two surprising contracts were signed. Matthew Boyd signs for 2 years, $29.5 million with the Chicago Cubs. And then the New York Mets ink Frankie Montas, White Sox legend, to a 2-year, $34 million contract. What does this say about starting pitching?
It says, boy, wouldn't you like to trade for Garrett Crochet because you only have to pay him $2.9 million.
Yeah, I mean,
starting pitching costs a lot.
You don't even have to pay $14.5 next year, too. He's still unarmed. I mean, at most, you're probably paying Garrett Crochet.
Matthew
like
Boyd
million.
Is getting $14.5 million next year.
Garrett Crochet might make combined 13 over the next 2 years because of arbitration.
Yep.
This is why people should be trading for Garrett Crochet. This is why 29 teams are interested in Garrett Crochet, is because he's cheap, he's young, and he's good. He could possibly be the best pitcher out on the market currently, and I understand Corbin Burns is out there. That's a fair person to throw out, but I really do think that if you give this person 175 innings next year, they might strike out like 300 people. It is completely possible that this 6'6" freak can just dominate Major League Baseball for the next 10 years.
It's funny. I was reading about, the Juan Soto Derby that's currently going on, and the idea that, one of the teams that loses out on him is going to be upset, but might be able to say, oh, well, for all the money we were going to give him, we could just build our own contending team out of that. Certainly, if you are a team that is chasing after Corbin Burns and you're seeing that Matthew Boyd is making $14.5 million next year, Corbin Burns is probably going to be making double that.
Yes.
Well, Garrett Crochet will be making a tenth of what Corbin Burns is going to be making next year. I mean, if you're talking about constructing a team for the same amount of money that you would pay the top player on the market, Garrett Crochet is among the best values in Major League Baseball right now. And yeah, it comes down to whether you want to get rid of your prospects. I mean, a team like the Red Sox, who we keep talking about with him, the Red Sox have all the incentive in the world to hang on to those prospects because they're all really darn good. And wouldn't it be nice to create a team of all those young prospects, just like we've been talking about the Orioles for years now, right? Why would you, if you're the Orioles, hang on to them. You'll have your team, and they'll be cheap. But guess what? Garrett Crochet is the best of both worlds because he's cheap now. You can have a winner now, and you can afford him no problem. So, man, the contracts that are being handed out to these pitchers, it only goes, like I always say, they only go up, right? Nowhere in baseball history is it like, yeah, we're all going to agree we're going to stop paying these guys as much. No, only goes up.
Matthew Boyd pitched fewer than 40 innings last year. Fewer than 40 innings, and he's making double the amount that Eric Fetty made last year and this year. How? Why? He's older. He's not as good. And if you put together the last 2 years when he was in Detroit and was in Cleveland was good, but the 40 innings are fewer. But he has ERA pluses at 95. His FIP is just below 4. Like, the guy is mid as hell, if not worse. And the Cubs are like, we're going to throw all the money at this guy. And Matthew Boyd's like, is that $14 million for the 2 years? He's like, no. That's $14 million each year. $14.5 million each year. Like, how? Who? What are you doing out there, Jed? What are you doing out there, Carter Hawkins?
He's trying to be the Royals.
That is a terrible signing for me. Like, there's nothing you can do with that. You're going to have that man pitch way over his head. He's pitched only 110 innings in the last 2 years combined. Like, you're going to expect him to throw 150 innings next couple of years, or this year and the year after, where he hasn't done that since 2021? Like, it's a terrible signing. Like, for how good the Eric Fetty signing was for the White Sox, because you could see both low cost and he had success in Korea, you can trade that contract as the White Sox did. If Matthew Boyd becomes Matthew Boyd eventually, you're not going to be able to trade that contract away because that's going to be way too much money for a 34 and 35-year-old left-hander that can't pitch.
Amen. I have no disagreements with you. His top 2 years, 2018 and 2019, 2.5 and 3.8 WAR. Garrett Crochet had better WAR in this year than he did Matthew Boyd in either of those seasons. Matthew Boyd has only thrown more. I know what does this have to do with Crochet, but still, I just love
Well,
a lot. He's on the market. That's the market. Yeah,
and like people are always complaining about Crochet with the lack that this is his first year being a starter. He throws over 145 innings. Matthew Boyd has only done that twice: 185 and a third, 170 and a third. I don't know. It's weird to see someone pay for somebody that has such a low end. Like their top end is so low.
Yes.
At the best, he's Matthew Boyd, and he allows soft contact, and your defense behind him picks it up, and he also gives up like 35 homers.
And I know like the I know the approach that we're taking here is, oh my God, you teams, what are you doing? Why wouldn't you just trade for Garrett Crochet? But there's the other side of that coin too, where maybe this speaks to what Chris Katz is asking for Garrett Crochet. And if you're the Cubs, you want a pitcher, and Garrett Crochet's out there for any number of your very highly rated position player prospects, right? But you choose instead to spend $30 million on Matthew Boyd.
Dumb.
Maybe that speaks to the idea that Chris Katz is demanding an awful lot for this.
Maybe.
And I don't think he's wrong to do that, but it might mean that you might scare some teams away. Maybe you're not going to see the Cubs or the Red Sox or the Orioles, these prospect-rich teams, bite on that because they're like, nah, that's who we've planned our future around. We're not going to mortgage that for this right now. I think a lot of us would say that would be worth it if you were a team in contention because Garrett Crochet is that good of a pitcher. But, it's very easy for us to say, oh my goodness, the Cubs, what are they doing? When think of the alternate universe in which they traded what Chris Katz was asking for it, and their fan base is going, oh my God, Cubs, what have you done? Now we have Garrett Crochet, but where's the future gone?
Yeah, I hear you. And and I think the market only goes up for Garrett Crochet after seeing, like Montas, I could see them giving money to, even though I think there was overpayment. But good on Frankie Montas getting your money. Go ahead, man. But they're going to pay. The Cubs are literally going to pay 3 times as much for Matthew Boyd's next 2 years than they would have if they would have acquired Garrett Crochet. And I got it. Owen Casey and et cetera, people that going back to the other team would be prohibitive for them. But you don't have anywhere for Owen to play right now. Your outfield is full of people. So where is he going to do? What's he going to do for the 2025 Cubs? You can't win a championship this year with Owen Casey still in the AAA. You're going to have Cody Bellinger playing some of those spots. You're going to have Seiya Suzuki playing some of those spots. Ian Happ and PCA playing some of the spots. There's no spot for Owen Casey. So you're going to be like the Orioles, just holding them on to prospects while the other teams in your division pass you by. I would see it would be a much more feasible and smart business decision to mortgage the future for Garrett Crochet because you know that he's going to be there. You know his performance is going to be at the top of the league. The only thing you worry about is injury, but you got to worry about injury with Matthew Boyd too. He hasn't pitched a bunch of innings. So I'm just flummoxed by the move by the Cubs. And when I saw these 2 moves, I was like, the price of Garrett Crochet has just gone skyrocketed because you're paying those bums that much money, and Garrett Crochet is way better than that. Those prices of those prospects have to come up.
Hey, it is insane to see how far the pitching market has come because the White Sox, one of their moves of the rebuild to change this rebuild, to define this rebuild, was giving Dallas Keuchel $55 million for 3 years. And that is only $4 million more AAV than what Matthew Boyd just got for rolling off of his couch on August 13th and pitching 9 games with the Guardians. Like, that's absurd.
Keuchel was a Cy Young winner.
Huh?
Keuchel was a Cy Young winner.
Yes, he was.
Yeah. And top 5 that year, too, with the White Sox, too.
And then now with over at New York Post, Joel Sherman is reporting that MLB teams are interested in Clay Holmes as a starter, including the Mets. Clay Holmes was once a starter, has started 4 games in his major league career, none since 2018, has not thrown more than 70 innings in an entire major league season. He was a minor league starter, but the last time he's had starts on a consistent basis was 2018. Again, if you are the Mets, why are you looking at 31-year-old Clay Holmes and trying to turn him from a reliever into a starter when you can just go give prospects up for Garrett Crochet? It baffles me. It surprises me. I don't understand it. I don't know if it's a Crochet thing. I don't know if it's just the hesitancy with the prospects. At this point, I feel like major league GMs are being a little too prospect hugging.
Well, but here's the thing.
It's nice to see contracts move, but still.
I mean, we always say this, right? It only costs you money kind of thing, right? And especially if you're the Mets or a team that's going to spend, right? Money. If you're the Mets, if you're the Yankees, if you're Boston, if you're the Dodgers, what's another tens of millions of dollars, right? Because you need that one player. The Mets need those prospects more than they need millions of dollars in their pocket, right? The way the Mets spend, the way the Dodgers spend, hand it out. Who cares? It's monopoly money, whatever, right? But you need the players at the end of the day. And they have the way to acquire those players in money. But if it doesn't work out, oh, well, it's no sweat. Whereas we're seeing with the White Sox, a team that doesn't spend as freely as those teams do, you spend that money on a player and it doesn't work out, well, then, you can't spend money on any other players. And that's a decision perhaps more than it is a actual restraint. But I'm just saying that that's the way that it works out. For some teams, it does not work out that way. The Mets are perhaps the greatest example of that in the way that their ownership throws that money around. So if you're the Mets, why not give that money to just whoever and see if it works out? What's the risk? Oh, no, we have less money, but they still have all that money in the world to go buy the next guy and the next guy and the next guy. So a team like that, I could see where they would be hugging those prospects, but I don't know. It definitely is a reflection of that. It's a reflection of not wanting to deal away these homegrown players.
I wonder when that shift happened, because I know the last time like a top 5 guy got traded was Yoan Moncada back when the White Sox got him. But wonder why it's all kind of seems like collusion, where none of these guys are giving up their big time prospects, and why. I know because it's less expensive to have these guys than paying the big time money. But as Vinny just put, like the Mets, the Dodgers, the Yankees, they can do that all the time. But teams like the Cubs, who could also spend all that money, are spending all that money on the wrong people. Like that's why we're talking about it right now, Edward, because they have a better option out there where it just costs your top prospects and maybe only one of them. And I think that it's better for the fan base. No one in the Cubs fan base today is like, man, we got Matthew Boyd. Let's go. No, everybody's like, you spent $14.5 million on a depth piece that barely will pitch for you in the next couple of years. That's a dumb move. No matter how this shakes out, unless Matthew Boyd is a Cy Young the next couple of years, this is a terrible thing. And you can go and get Garrett Crochet still and spend $10 million the next couple of years, and you'll be much better than where you're at right now.
I don't know. I don't know. I was honestly just flummoxed when I saw that Matthew Boyd contract. I don't understand.
Good for Matthew Boyd.
Yeah, great for Matthew Boyd.
He's making some money.
Matthew Boyd,
that's the most money he's made in his career by far.
Oh, absolutely. In June, Matthew Boyd was probably looking into real estate gigs. You know, he was calling up Zach Collins and being like, "Hey, man, I got to figure something out. Post-life playing career." And now he's got $14.5 million and moving to the greatest city in the world. That's Chicago. And if you are a Chicago sports fans, we have a great offer for you on this Cyber Monday. Head over to allchgo.com/diehard. We have the $36 for 36-hour offer currently going on. It ends tomorrow at 8 p.m.
Yeah, 27 hours.
There you go, 27 hours. The sale includes all diehard perks, including access to exclusive content on allchgo.com. Discord access, so you get to chat White Sox, Blackhawks, Bulls, Bears, everything Chicago in our Discord channel with all of our other diehards, and you get exclusive discounts both to events and to merch. This is a limited time flash sale designed to get you to sign up and join our great opportunity and our great company here, or what's
community
called? Community. There it is. That's the word.
Free
so thank you very much. And there is some great merch sales also up at store.allcity.com. We have the new CHGO college collection.
Oh, yeah.
So there's some new merch up there, along with the old tees that you see right there. Some marked up to 75% off. The entire store is currently marked 30% off. So head over to store.allcitynetwork.com for the merch and chgo.com/diehard for the diehard sale. Hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you're subscribing to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. We have a very busy day here at CHGO Sports. A Bulls pregame show coming up. We have a Blackhawks show coming up. And since there's a pregame show, there's a postgame show.
Yeah.
So make sure you're tuned in here on the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. That is Vinnie Duber, our CHGO White Sox beat writer. That is Herb Lawrence, our CHGO White Sox community leader. I'm Sean Anderson. your CHGO White Sox host. Thank you to Lawrence Benedetto for producing the show. We'll be back here tomorrow at 4 p.m. to talk more White Sox. We will talk to you then. Goodbye.
We all silly like the mayor.